Good evening, my name is Alan. This lesson plan is for 5th graders, the subject being math. In particular, the subject is concerning multiplying fractions. Now, the essential question, obviously, for this lesson is how do you multiply a fraction? And by the end of the lesson, the students will hopefully be able to multiply fractions on their own. Before I actually begin the lesson, I would like to start with a few activities. Students would first of all draw fractions. I would have colored papers or even just regular paper put out for every student in order for them, and markers and pencils, for them to be able to draw a bit about where they have seen fractions and a little bit about just any types of fractions they can think of, in order for them to just refresh their memory of what fractions are, where you encounter fractions, etc. And before I actually again begin the lesson, after that activity, I would play for them a video on a smartboard, which I don't have here obviously, just depicting to them again how to multiply fractions before I actually begin the lesson. And essentially that video will utilize a lot of what I am going to be teaching as well. And then I would begin the lesson. And so by the time I would begin the lesson, a lot of things would be done, which I can't actually show in this particular video. And all right, so hello class, how's everybody doing? Good, good. All right, so today we will be talking about multiplying fractions. Do you remember in last classes we learned how to add fractions, we learned how to subtract fractions, we learned also how to add and subtract whole numbers, right? So just as a review, again, right, we have 3 plus 4 is 7, right? Just a little bit of a refresher. Okay? All right. Now, multiplying fractions is actually probably much more simpler than adding and subtracting fractions. Does anybody know why? All right, I'll tell you. When you add and subtract fractions, what do you need? You need common denominators. Therefore, you need to simplify. You need to make the fractions simple, alike, with common denominators, then you can add and subtract. But with multiplication, you don't need that. In multiplication, all you do is you're multiplying the top, the numerators, and the denominators, just like that. So let's do an example, a few examples on the board together. All right? We'll do 2 over 3 times 1 over 3. So as we said, when multiplying fractions, all you do is you're multiplying the numerators and then multiplying the denominators, which will give you your answer. So 2 times 1 is 2. 3 times 3 is, very good, 9. So your answer would be 2 over 9. Okay? Now, another thing that will help you when you do word problems is knowing the term of. Whenever you see the word of in mathematics, it's always trying to tell you that you're supposed to multiply. For example, you'll see this a lot when you do fractions. So when they say 1/3 of 3/4, when you see a word problem that says 1/3 of 3/4, what they're basically asking is 1/3 of 3/4 is times 3 over 4. 1/3 times 3 over 4. The word of just replaces the multiplication sign. Okay? Any questions? All right. So let's do this example again together. 1/3 of 3/4, 1 over 3 times 3 over 4, What do I do here? Good, we multiply the numerators. 1 times 3 is very good. 3. 3 times 4 is good. 12. And that's your answer. 3 over 12. You would obviously, we would learn later in later lessons how to simplify that. We're not going to get into detail right now about simplifying the answers that you get from a multiplying a fraction, because it would be a little bit too much information on this. They learn how to simplify fractions for adding and subtracting, but for today's lesson, I think it would suffice just to multiply the fractions and understand the mechanisms of multiplying the fractions. Okay? Let's do one more example. So, let's say you have a pie of pizza. You have a pie of pizza. And you have an example that says, how much pizza would I eat if I would eat half of 3/4 of the pizza? How much is half of 3/4? As I just said, the word of, what does it mean? Daniel? Multiplying. Very good. So how would I write that? Half of 3/4. What does that mean? 1 over 2 times 3/4. 3 over 4. How do I multiply a fraction? We multiply the numerators and then we multiply the denominators. And that answer will be our answer. So what is 1 times 3? 3. Right? What's 2 times 4? John? Excellent. 8. Our answer is 3 over 8. So I would eat 3/8 of the pizza. Does that make sense? Any questions? All right. So by this time of the lesson, I would, if there are any questions, obviously further, I would do some more examples, do some more explanation of the how to perform this. This is very simple, just the very, very simple examples. At this time, I would split the students up into groups with higher level students and lower level students actually working together. I think that would be very helpful because they can actually serve as an aid to them. And I would hand out worksheets that I have. Worksheets with a few examples, maybe about 7 or 8 examples here. And they would do them together in groups. The higher level students with the lower level students. And as they would be doing that, I would be walking around attentively observing them to see if anybody needs more question, if anybody's having, if any students are struggling performing the examples. Yes, that's actually one of my forms of assessment. The second form of assessment that I would utilize is obviously giving homework to the students at the end of class. And during class, a type of form of assessment that I was using was actually asking questions, as was seen during the video, asking questions toward the class to see how effectively they participate, etc. And essentially at the end of class, we would review what we went over and give a little bit of a hint, or as a little bit of a snippet of what we would be discussing next class, which would be obviously dividing fractions if there are no problems with the students, no questions that the students still have with today's lesson. All right.